Hello everyone, I guess we are live now, at least the director just told us. So we are happy to see you live here, and let me check if there are at least anyone, not really sure. So today we're gonna...
Actually it's a second webinar, right? I mean, second.
No, whatever. Okay. We are talking about the colors right now, and we will talk about the skills that you need to earn money with the color grading, and we will show you a couple of projects. If you ask, we'll answer any of your questions, and we will tell you about the mentorship that we offer. And
I really want you to ask some questions, because that's the whole point of this webinar, and we need to hear something from you. We want it. And
that's true.
Meanwhile, I'll be sharing some random knowledge here. So the whole idea of these 5 skills is based on the time. So the less time you spend doing your color job, the more money you'll earn. It's simple as that. So if you using these 5 skills, if you're implementing them in your real day-to-day job, then you'll be possibly increase your revenues significantly. Just first of all, because they are super useful, and second, because they are super obvious. So most likely you already heard about them, but you already not using them.
The obvious stuff is the hardest stuff, because you know it and you never use it, you always skip it.
Yes.
So yeah, we are definitely live. There are people who are watching us. Hello everyone, I'm glad to welcome you in our chat. I'm gonna be the host today, and the guy who's gonna do the stuff with the keyboard. He is the teacher today. My name is Alex, his name is Ro. I'm the co-founder of the amlab.me school. He is our best teacher for the color grading in DaVinci. And we're gonna share some knowledge today. And so I guess we can, I thought that we can dive right in, but yeah.
Who the hell are these guys?
Let's show...
This one especially.
I have a hat.
Yes, hats.
Yeah, so I guess we can turn on the demo reel right now.
Yeah, I will briefly speak about who actually we are.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's not so useful. Okay, so I having the production company here, and we mostly specializing in doing commercial projects. So we are not about the creative side of this business, but more about the commercial side. We created several different TV shows, TV commercials, TV small shootouts for global television networks. And the whole point of the studio itself is to make this make production profitable. It's not about creative side again. So
just a little bit maybe about creative side.
Of course, we're trying to make everything as pretty as we can, but we are limited by amount of time, by
amount of money,
of course. So that's why we can share these 5 skills. We can share some knowledge, because many people on the web now sharing some creative knowledge.
That's
how
true.
To create something perfect. Okay, but what then you'll be able to do with this creative something?
That's true.
Probably, but sometimes nothing. I mean, it's just it will be super cool that you can now create super great looking images, but you won't be able to sell them usually. Yeah. And that's why we are here, and that's why we came with this idea to share some of this knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. And a couple of words about the school. Actually, originally we are from Russia, and in Russia this guy taught a couple of thousands of students who are happy to talk about him. And now we're expanding worldwide, so speaking English, definitely that's one of the main difference. But the ideas and the knowledge is the same, and it's proven that it's very good and very useful. So less words, more action. Let's just dive in.
I'll try to be as short and as
I have a question. Actually, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, great.
We told you about ourselves, please let us know who you are and what do you do, because this open class actually is very special for us, and I hope that it will be special for you. Anyway, because we're gonna talk about the mentorship today, show projects, yes, share the skills, yes, but one of the main ideas today is to understand who you are and what kind of color grading or maybe production problems you face and how you're trying to avoid them, and share.
Yeah, actually, if you won't shy away from this class and will share something with us, like some of your projects, maybe like before and after shots or something.
Yeah,
you can probably get a free feedback from us right now.
Right, yeah. So
it will be even more useful for you than just
listen to us. So if you have a link to your works, just drop it in the comments section, and
and let's just go straight to the 5 skills, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, so the 5 things, great. The first one, know your tools and techniques. It's super simple, super easy. When you're sitting side by side with the director, with the client, doesn't matter. You need to be as productive as possible. You need to be as fluent as possible. So your client shouldn't notice you searching for some button or searching for some option, or you're just setting up your project right in the middle of the work. Yeah. So it's crucial to know all your tools, and sometimes you won't use one particular tool or like several particular tools in like 90% of the projects, but in one project per each 100, say, this tool will save your life.
Yeah, that definitely, because you always have to know the workarounds inside the same tasks, because if it doesn't work, you immediately have to come up with a different idea how to solve the problem or how to reach the emotion or whatever director asks you.
Yeah, and it may look like it's a good idea to just only, master the primary wheels and log wheels and don't use curves at all.
Yeah,
but sometimes you won't be able to create the contrast you like and the director would like to see with only the wheels. So you'll need to use curves, and if you don't know how to use them, I mean, yes, it's not the simplest tool to use, but still, it's
that's just an example. But yeah, I hope you get the idea. If you did get the idea, just let us know in the comment section, and we'll go on.
And definitely DaVinci Resolve is like pretty complex like software, so there are plenty different tools, and some of them are completely useless, seriously, but some of them are like looks like they're useless, but sometimes they can help you. So the next one, remember the goal. So what is the goal? The goal of each and every colorist is to help to tell the story. It doesn't matter if it's an advertising story, so you're trying to sell something, to help your client to sell something, or you helping your director to tell the story, like for the audience, like some interesting screenplay, I don't know, something. So there is no goal to make images as perfect as they can be. I mean, that's the wrong goal. And
that's true.
This goal will lead you to completely different direction. It won't be, you won't be able to manage how to make the like most perfect image in the world.
Yeah, actually I have an example with the documentary film we've been grading, and I'm the guy who's always tried to make the image pop as much as possible, and that's the problem, because if you're grading the documentary, for example, I guess that there are like maybe 200, 300, 400 shots in a documentary. If you will try to make a cinematic look inside every single of them, you will be out of budget, because usually people don't have a lot of money for the documentary, at least as much as they have for the advertisement or the music videos, etc. So it's gonna be the problem. It's not.
And most importantly, your audience won't see the difference. Actually, I mean, definitely they will see these pictures look amazing, but will it make the story better? No. Will it make the story clearer for them? No. I mean, that's why you should spend extra time like perfecting each and every shot, and it has absolutely no sense. I mean, it's way better to just do the whole thing consistent, look seamless, and good overall, and then continue with the next project. And your experience will grow, your knowledge will grow, and you will be able to achieve better results in the same amount of time each and every project. And in the matter of year, for example, you'll be able to grade significantly better than in the beginning of the year, but in the same time, in the same budget. And this will dramatically increase the quality of your resulting image.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Actually, we have two interesting guests today. One of them is Alessandro. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. That's a videographer and video editor from Italy, now works in Berlin for a multinational company in the media branding business. Glad to meet you, Alessandro. And there is one more very, very interesting guest, the guy who works who works as an editor and producer for the Office of Communication in the University High Point. It's I'm not really. I guess that it's somewhere. I'm sorry. Where is this university? I'm really interested because I guess it should be in US. I guess no. And his name is Dalton. Nice to meet you, Dalton.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And we really hope you'll have some specific questions to us because I really love to answer some exact, some detailed questions.
I guess that's the university in High Point. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great.
Sounds really cool. So North Carolina. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Not too close.
So anyway, ask questions, and if you have projects you have problem with, send them to us via the comment section. We will have some time to answer your questions. So keep listening and doing the link posting stuff at the same time. So let's
continue to the third one. So no actual trends. That's super simple. And I usually refer to the mill company.
The problem is not to understand that you need to know the trends, but where to look for them.
Okay, so here's the mill. You guys probably know this is the one of the biggest post-production houses in the world, and they post new works regularly, and you can just watch these works and understand perfectly what are current trends today. It's super simple. Like for example, this is the main page, and this is just a featured work. They usually make colors for their own campaigns, for their own clips. So you can judge that it doesn't matter if these colors were made not by the mill, it's still absolutely representative. I mean, you can just judge the trends from these actual works. Like for example, this is Audi advertising, and probably it's broadcasting everywhere now. It's broadcasting here, it's probably broadcasting in Europe and United States, I guess everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe in slightly different variances, but it doesn't matter. And you can see immediately that we have a trend in car commercials. We'll love to see contrasty and vivid pictures.
Yeah, and
simple as that.
With the complementary colors, I guess.
Yeah, well, yes. Like for example, there's another car commercial here, and it's a little bit less vibrant. But I mean, we can play this, but I guess I don't need to. Like something like this. I mean, it's less vibrant, but it's still the same concept. It's contrasty. It's like not flat anymore. Like we gone this flat trend right now, and we are going to the more contrasty looks. And if you just scroll over all these different projects, or you can come directly to color page and see all these featured works and colorist reels especially, then you'll immediately understand first of all the trends, and second of all, every single colorist who is experienced colorist have his own like look, significant look, like signature look, and you will immediately understand how trends will blend with these signature looks, and produce some like interesting results. So each colorist have his own vision, but everybody uses same trends. Like it's pretty obvious. So you need to know these trends at least. So you can grade with these trends or in completely opposite direction, but you need to know them. So it's just a good practice. Okay, develop your own workflow. This is, I think it's maybe the most important part, because like workflow is something that you're using every single time. And if you're constantly changing your workflow, you won't be able to know this every single like corner of this workflow. I mean, you won't be able to know where the issues could appear, or where is like completely smooth part of this workflow. So if you're practicing to use one single workflow and just adjusting to make it better and better every single time, you'll be able to produce much more great results, like much more like less noisy, less without like too many artifacts, I don't know, like it's just mathematically better in terms of quality. Yeah, that's true. So the workflow is something, sometimes it's subjective, and sometimes it's completely like technical. I mean, for example, you need to place your LUTs in the very end, just because this is the whole purpose of the LUT. And for example, you probably should place your denoiser node to the very beginning, just because you want to be able to use all your gradings after the denoiser to not affect this, like say, color noise, for example. But for the rest of the part, it's mostly something like it's just a matter of choice. I mean, you can be comfortable with making the contrast in the very end, or maybe the contrast in the very beginning. So, for example, I personally prefer to like place the whole contrast curves in the very end. Sasha usually like prefer to use it in the very beginning, and probably it's not a good idea to for me to continue grading after him. Because it's completely different workflow. I mean, yes, probably with my experience, I will be able to achieve similar result, but it's just not so comfortable. So I will definitely spend more time on doing completely the same thing. Actually, there is an example, just in 2 words. We were grading with the same picture yesterday, and in the very end of our cooperative grading, we had to start over again from the very ground, because the node structure was messy. I just remade it from the scratch, and the reason was super simple. I needed to copy paste it to the other shots and adjust them like accordingly, but it's much harder to do it with some with the mess inside the node. Yes, with the mess and with something that you're not comfortable. Sure. We will talk about this later. I'll show during the practice part. So we can. And I changed my mind. This is the most important part. This one, the 5th one. So do not overcoat. What does it mean? I mean, every single time you're thinking that there's too much cool colors in this picture, let's reduce them, do it at least 30% less than you probably wanted to do. The answer is simple. I mean, your eyes will adapt to what you're doing. You won't notice these slight differences. So like your body will ask you to make it more significant. That's true. That's how your eyes works, because they adapt to what you see, adapt to the vibrance of the colors, adapt to the contrast of the whole image, and then you're like, maybe I should add one more curve here, and yes, exactly, and then why not? I have like. Super often, I have this question from one of my students, like, Ro, what I did wrong here? Why it still looks like something super weird? Okay, have you tried to just disable everything and just make it from scratch, but with less correction? No, I didn't. So do it, please. Okay. Well, that's much better. The answer is simple. I mean, if you can't stop yourself from overcooking your images, just apply the rule, do your grade, then delete everything and do it again.
Actually, that helps. That sounds strange, but it saved me a couple of times.
It still helps. Like it helps me still using this technique, because usually when you already know what exactly you wanted to achieve, it's much easier to get the same result with less notes, with less mess, with like more delicate adjustments and all this stuff. Especially when you're dealing with something complex like selections, curves, or other stuff. Okay.
The Dalton says that he's guilty about the overcooking. He's always overcooking. And then Ian always come back and then like I should add more contrast. That's definitely gonna make the image better.
Yes. I mean, it's completely similar for everybody. I mean, it's similar. It's same for me, for you, and for everybody. Right. It's completely okay. Just think about it every single.
You have to just keep it in mind. Yes, as we told you.
So sometimes it's a good practice not to save your project at all, and just switch like PC.
No, don't do this. Anyway, so the Alessandro have a question also.
Great.
And after this question, we will go to the project. So that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Okay.
Seems to me, Alexandra says, that the work of the colorist is strongly bonded to the work of the DOP.
Sure, but not only to DOP, but also to director, to like scriptwriter, to production designer, to everybody, to the rest of the team.
Yeah. So, can you talk about the personal experience in this matter? I will like enhance the question a little bit, change it. Do you have like an experience where you had the full control without like any boundaries, or maybe do you have an example of like an opposite?
As probably like many of other guys, I started as a one-man crew.
Yeah.
And I was able to try. With my own projects to do everything as a one piece.
Yeah.
And I realized that it's like usually it's way easier to think about colors in the very beginning of the production.
On the pre-production.
On the pre-production, actually, yes. And like create this look. First of all with the director, then with the DOP, of course, and then like light technicians, this like production department around costumes will help a DOP to like tell his story, his images.
Yeah.
And you as a, it doesn't matter with like you as an like digital intermediate technician, DIT, or like as a colorist on the post-production, you will help DOP with this image. So usually, yes, you'll be like paired with either the DOP or the director, or them both together.
Actually, it seems to me that the DOP is also bounded by the director, and the director usually is bounded by the producer. So
actually, okay, in TV production, the producer is like the main person usually, and in the cinema production, the director is usually the main person. So
to make it clear, if you work on a commercial basis, you are bounded. Yes.
Sure, for sure.
But if you want some like freedom or creativity, just do your own work. Find a DOP to shoot with him, go to the production, or go on stage, help him, watch him doing anything.
And that's actually a really great point. It just reminded us. So the most significant, like, I don't know, change in my career was at the time I realized I should stop reading and watching any tutorials on color grading, but instead I should learn psychology of perception. And the reason is simple. You're working with people. You should know how they look, how they like
perceive the image.
Yeah, how they feel about the images, what they will notice and what they want. So it's Okay, it's some kind of weird example, but still it's example. Recently, I worked with one DOP. It's great DOP, like seriously, he's a great guy, but he's super obsessed with right colors, and it's only he who knows what the right colors are actually. So he asked me to, like, this lip should be like slightly more red. Like, okay, how slightly? What 1% of what?
What is red then?
So he just slightly. I mean, it should like pop up a little bit more. So I increased the red in the lips. He asked me to add even more, and then I realized that I'm like, I don't know, maybe he just was too focused on the lips itself, but the whole picture became like completely separated, like lips and the rest of the image, So I decided not to go even further. So I just, press several times, like before and after, without any changes, and just told him that, so do you like this better? And after second or like third jump, he decided that he's completely fine now.
But nothing was changed.
Nothing was changed. I mean, that's not the rightest thing to do.
Yeah,
but that's actually work. I mean, I just reset his like perception. He just, I mean, I could probably just, shut down the PC and turn it on again, because. And then just pretend that, something changed. Do you think it's better now? And I guess the effect should be the same.
Okay. We all know the story about the good, the bad, and the evil, how the editor paid the directors to have an ability to make the cuts in the way he wanted. Maybe that's the way it's for you. Because Alessandra is saying like, okay, I'm leaving now. Because I guess if you don't wanna like mess with the commercial production, that's an awkward problem, because you earn money. At the same time, it's your job to find the right way how to grade it. If you have an idea, probably the good director and the good DP will listen to you.
Well, actually, the simplest project.
Can we go to the project and like speak at the same time?
So this is great. This is the Lollipop Girl.
Lollipop Girl.
It's a shot from actual music video, so it shouldn't be great as like something trendy, contrasty, and all this stuff.
You remember that we found a very good reference on the Mill site. Should we show it or just whatever?
No, whatever. I mean, like when using when grading the music videos, usually like trends are something not so important for you, and you're just trying to achieve something that is close to the mood of the song and all the stuff. I mean, that's way more important. So, and I'll just show guys my typical workflow. It's the simplest way, the simplest part. I mean, the simplest option. I will show like a little bit more complex later, but this one, and hopefully they'll ask something, so I'll be able to answer. So, okay, this is the original footage. It's, I believe it's shot with, yes, it's Red Dragon, but doesn't matter. I usually start with space transform node. It's DaVinci recently has this, and like it's new OpenFX plugin, so it allows you to transfer your original color and gamma spaces to any other spaces.
From one camera to another.
Yeah, so right now I just transferred the Dragon space to Array Log C, just because I like to use Log C better, and that's the simplest reason. And I mean, there is no particular point. You can, of course, do same thing with like any other spaces, but it's just a preferable, like something that I'm super comfortable with. So I love to use this node in the very beginning of the process each and every time now.
So do I understand you correctly? So every single camera workflow will be the same for you because you use
almost the same. Yes, because I usually transfer them all to the log C. Yes.
Okay.
And if I know the original spaces right, then this node should do the rest of the work for me. This is kind of like workaround to match different cameras as well. You can, of course, go with the ACES workflow, which is much more complex usually. But this one is super simple, and you can implement this every single time. But then you can also implement it and create something with it. I mean, you can do something wrong specifically, like choose wrong input and wrong output. And create something, yes. It creates like some stylization.
Right. I have also a question. Does it really work with this Rec 709 on the input?
Yes. I mean, you can choose Rec 709 as an input. Yes. So it will then transfer to log C. And actually, this is like the best approach now to grade Rec 709 images.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so that's the first node you create, and then
I usually create the main contrast node just because, as I already said, I used to place it in the very end. So I usually create something like this, and this time I used wheels, but like nowadays I mostly use curves, just because I have more control with curves, obviously. But so the overall contrast, and so far so good. We already have some decent picture, and I usually add some sharpness to it even after the contrast. And the reason why the contrast is I'm placing the contrast prior to sharpening, because actually sharpening is the same contrast but more like in details, like more like shrinked in areas. I mean, it's like more point specific.
All right. Yeah.
So I don't want my sharpness to be increased by my overall contrast. Instead, I'd like to just control it separately in the very end.
Especially considering the fact that the contrast and the sharpness is the same. Technical is the same stuff.
Yes, technical is the same stuff. And I usually start with the denoise node, but since it's the performance of the computer became really affected by this node, I usually start with it, but then I just disable it for the rest of the part and only enable it in the very end, check if everything still works the same, and press the export button, something like this. Well, so we have pretty decent image already. I mean, it's contrasty, it's great looking because DOP did his job perfectly, I guess.
Actually, there is a question from another Sandra. Is it normal to have an image that is underexposed with the raw footage, or is it just this specific shot?
Well, it's not underexposed. I mean, it's exposed completely okay. I mean, there is a theory that you need to expose your images as high as possible when you're shooting raw, and it's completely fine. It's mathematically correct. I mean, it will hold more information, definitely, but most importantly, you need to make your footage as consistent as possible. That's the goal. So if these guys, for example, had another scenes which are much brighter, there is no point to make this darker scene as bright as the brightest scene.
So
this will just add another layer of complexity to your grade.
So that's called exposed to the right, and that's basically it produces super inconsistent footage.
Yes.
Every single shot will be like a new story for you.
I mean, if the whole sequence should be this dark, then it's probably a good idea to crank up the exposure for the entire sequence in the cameras on the shooting day. And that's why you need DIT on your project usually. That's the main reason. Not the main, but one of the reasons. So, this one. And now, after these preparations, we started to develop a look with the director. And we started with adding more green tones to it to make the whole thing looks more like from the nightclub. I mean, this one is too neutral.
Yeah.
It definitely it's reddish, but it's too neutral.
Yeah.
This one looks like more underground because green tones usually prefers to something underground. There's something. This picture now shows that something should go should happen soon. Maybe. I mean, but actually that's not the goal. We are doing the music video. It just constantly speaking with the music producer, and he just keep telling you that he needs special feeling. Like for example, this one should look dirty. Okay, dirtier than dirty. The two best colors for like dirty mood is green and brown, right? So green and brown in the between. But when we made this scene a little bit more green, we lost our like pleasant red colors. So that's why I created this second node. And this
return the reds.
Yeah, to return the reds. And I'm using this parallel mixer here, and that's just how I prefer to work usually. I mean, I prefer to use original footage for every single correction. Sometimes I need to use layer mixer as well, but more often I use layer mixer or parallel mixer. Okay, so and then on every single masterclass, on every single course, I explain that there is a like teal orange technique that's not only suitable for teal orange look, but also for any other looks. Basically, the technique is all about separating your skin tones from the rest of the image. And that's why we have these two nodes. So this first one will add some contrast and some green tones to the skin tones. Why green tones? Because usually it's a good practice to blend your colors together for the entire image. And if you have like skin tones completely different in terms of colors to the rest of the image, this will look like
supernatural.
Supernatural. So this will make the skin tones, first of all, more three-dimensional, definitely, and because of the contrast at the first place, and because of the greenish tones, it will look like more blended to the rest of the image. And then that's the main reason actually why I need to separate the skin from the rest, is this one. I increase the contrast with either this mid-tone detail like here, or I can use sharpen and soften filter.
In the open effects.
In the open effects, or something similar. Or sometimes I use curves to just, expand the contrast just specifically in the skin tones areas. So together, these two nodes do something like not so subtle, but still subtle. But for the overall image, it immediately will, point our attention to the skin, to the face of the girl, and that's a good thing, I guess. Then there is a technical node which called darks. It's just desaturating the like darkest points of the image. It's just a technical part. I mean, I just prefer to be sure that on every single display, no matter which one will be the display, shadows will be as neutral as possible. So I usually create this one. Sometimes I even place this after all the corrections just to be sure that the shadows are absolutely neutral.
Nothing.
Yes, and then this is the part about overcooking. I mean, I decided to add a vignette to emphasize, like to increase the, like to point the attention even more.
To her face.
To her face, yes. But probably I always want to add even more contrast.
We all do.
We all do. But it's a good practice not to add more contrast here, but instead add an opposite node, like an outside node, and darken the rest. So you see together, before and after. the nice part, the beauty part of this, we basically have the same image still, but now it's just more focused.
Yeah, your attention goes straight to her face, straight to her face.
Okay, and then we have this key skin, and we have this key contrast, and you also see this word key here in the first node on the skin corrections. So why so? This is the long sequence, and in the end we have this way brighter skin tones. So I added two special nodes on this one and this one to lower the brightness.
Yeah.
But if I were to only add this in the for the entire sequence.
Yeah, it will be very dark.
Yeah, it will be very dark in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Oh so I used the tool that I know many colorists just avoiding completely.
Yeah, you mean
keys.
The keys.
Yeah, the keys. So these three nodes just animated in time. So they affecting the image here in the very end, but the effect slightly disappears to the beginning. So overall, we have this constant brightness. But I mean, it's super simple. It's just two keys for these three nodes. But I know many different colorists, and they're super great, but they don't use it. They have crazy problems dealing with that type of images. I mean, if you have lighting conditions changing throughout your scene, you'll be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
So they start to cut these frames, splitting them in the edit page.
Put transitions.
Yeah, all the stuff. It's completely nuts.
Dirty shit. Yeah.
But the only thing you need to know is just another tool, and all these keys workflow. Yeah. And it's great. Sure. And that's basically it. I mean, it's simple. I mean, seriously, it's simple. And probably for TV broadcasting, I'd adjusted even more in terms of contrast and broadcast safe areas. But now for the YouTube, for all this web stuff, it doesn't matter at all.
All right.
So,
all right.
I mean, the director was happy about it. I was happy about it, and yeah, it's pretty fast correction.
Yeah. We have a question.
Yeah, great.
Not really about what we've been showing, but hey guys, we've just finished with the project. If you have any question about the project, about how we were
the workflow,
we wanted very telling in-depth information. So if you have some questions, just ask. So because we don't know, maybe you know all this stuff, maybe you don't, not really sure. So let us know in the comment section below, or to your right, depending on where you watch us. If you have any questions, just please ask them.
Should we maybe start with some questions?
And then if you have projects you want to show us and ask a question about your project, that's the perfect time to send it to us, because otherwise
we have about 15 to maybe
20 minutes.
More minutes to go.
Yeah, the class will be over. So please grab your chance to send us a project if you wanna professional colorist to talk about your work and make it better.
Send us original. Okay, no.
So the question is, actually not the question, the comment. Well, it's a wonderful grade, I have to say, about what we've done. What we've done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alessandro. So the question is from the Dalton. Thank you for the question. I'm set, Rec 709 and bounce between the After Effects and the Premiere. I found DaVinci gives several color shifts on the export. I usually have to tweak, seems to vary from codec to codec.
It's a pretty common question, and unfortunately it's heavily dependent on which system you use, Mac or Windows. It's a little bit different on both systems, and Yes, you already answered your question. The problem is with different codecs. I mean, with different color spaces in different codecs, and well,
what the solution could be to this problem? Because Alessandro also said that probably you should get the decklink monitor.
Yes, so the right solution is definitely have the reference monitor, because actually neither, like, any software can't show you the proper colors at all. If you're working for broadcast, then just you need to have reference monitor. It's just your primary tool. But if you're working for the web, then if the resulting image is okay for you, then it's completely fine to place it, because every single browser as well have slightly different color sciences behind, under the hood. So it could be different between each browser. So it's you won't be able to do it absolutely perfect and to maintain the same colors throughout the for each and every from your audience. Anyway, but first of all, I always suggest to check what will happen if you just export something from DaVinci and re-import it again in the same project, and then compare these two colors, because sometimes it's just internal DaVinci problem, and you just need to be sure that after the export, and you will import the same footage and compare it to original, it should look completely identical. If it's not, then something is wrong about your DaVinci, and the good starting point is just delete it completely with all the preferences files and just install it from the scratch. Seriously, that's the best advice I can get, just because I heard this question so often. And second one, read specifications for your codecs. Sometimes, and for your players as well. I have so many problems solved just by advising people to use, say, VLC player instead of QuickTime, just because, to be honest, QuickTime is complete crap. I mean, in terms of color management, it just do something completely wrong. And so do every single software which is using QuickTime compressions. I mean, this is the mostly debated topics in the forums. There are some different workarounds, but the most, the only workable one is just to tweak it, as you already did.
Yeah, the guys agree that QuickTime is a crap.
Yeah, so I mean, it's great in terms of compression, all the stuff, but I mean, it's trends that make OS, which is famous for its color science. Do this kind of things for the QuickTime, but still, I mean, there is no single solution to the entire problem.
All right.
And you remember, someday we spent several days just trying to understand the whole color science of the world, for everything, why every single issue can appear. And we ended up completely frustrated with everything, because sometimes you can't simply reproduce the same problem in the same machines,
and predict it. That's can be.
So that's why every single professional will recommend you to use reference monitor, because it won't lie to you.
So the reference monitor, and double check re-import.
Yes, first of all, because sometimes it's a problem.
So we have no more questions, and we have one more project to show you. But before that, I want to tell you about the mentorship that we can offer you. I know that when you work as a colorist, as a professional colorist, it's always good to have a second mind that can advise you something, especially if it's someone who is more experienced than you. It was working perfectly for me when I was studying color grading. Not really sure about you because
The
like
same thing.
you started in the previous century probably. But we tried this stuff here in Russia with the Russian students, and it gave us phenomenal results. So we offering this one is for you because we have a system where you can show your commercial projects or your personal projects that you care about to the mentor. The mentor is this guy, obviously. And so that can help you tweak your commercial projects to look better, or maybe avoid some crucial mistakes that were done by the DOP or whatever. You want to say something? Yeah.
No. And T-shirt with a mentor here.
No, I will make it for you for the next time, and just to make it faster. So faster and better, I mean, like in terms of quality of the videos, usually leads you to more money. If you work in a production company,
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you work in a production company or even as a freelancer, the faster you work, keeping the same quality, the more money you will earn. And if you have a boss, I don't know how to say it.
Like the owner of your company? Or what?
No, yeah, the director or the creative director or whatever who it be. Maybe it's a principal if we're talking about High Point University. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that the guy who can notice that your works get better and will appreciate
and hopefully
your work.
Promote you.
Yeah, that they appreciate your works better. So there is an opportunity to order a 1-year mentorship, so you will get ability throughout the year to get in touch with the mentor 10 times at whatever time you need. Like you just book your time, show the project, receive the feedback, you can tweak everything that mentor tells you, then get back to him and show the results, and like have a break for a couple of months until you have like a very complicated project that gets you stuck. At the same time, you can make them as fast as possible, like in a couple of months you can use them all.
So it will work perfectly in like different scenarios. Like for example, you can just share your result, give a feedback, and that's all. Or you can just send me like raw footages and ask me to do something else with it, to just maybe to just show you the like possibilities, the potential of this footage, or any different scenario you can imagine.
Yeah.
So it's it's as you already said, it's completely proven before with many different students. They now work in like television productions in their own studios. Doesn't matter. We have like different success stories of people who maybe even like they weren't too sure that they want to be a colorist, but now they are, and they earning money. And actually, some of them are just, change their city, for example, change the company they're working for, all this stuff. They just, getting more and more money. It's good. It's good to know that they, understood everything I told them, and they trying to implement it in their own life. Yeah. It's okay.
So guys, what do you think about the mentorship? I mean, the main idea and the way how we do it, just let us know, because it's very crucial to us. Maybe you have some ideas how to enhance it. Maybe you think that it's a total bullshit. I don't know. So please let us know. And if you are interested in the mentorship for the 1 year, there is a link in the chat already in the comment section. You can press it and then you can order it. It's only $9.90 for the 1 year mentorship. And if you place an order in until the October 13, we will give you one more lesson with the teacher just for free. Yeah. So please let us know if you are interested or not, and if you're interested, maybe you have any kind of questions. We will be glad to to answer them. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's great, and I'd probably go and participate in this one, but
Yeah.
I think it will be awkward.
Actually, that's the
if I'll ask myself.
That's a different link. Yeah. The link is in the comment section. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have one more question.
Yeah, great,
Actually, we have a comment from Dalton. It's good stuff, he says. You guys have a good teaching style.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much,
really
sir.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So Alessandro asks, do you have any suggestions on how to grade and work with the mid-level camera shooting? I own a Sony A7S, so I have to deal with
like many people around you will probably be very happy to have a 7S. Like yes, definitely it's mid-range camera, but it's superior in terms of quality. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
And
it's also good in terms of
the
color.
best advice I can give as work with average cameras, same as you work with like high-end cameras, because you won't believe how many shitty footage I seen from high-end cameras. The footage from high-end cameras, which looks terrible.
Still terrible.
Still terrible, yes. Okay. I see this. I have this footage much more often than the footage from the mid-range cameras.
I can explain
just because if you're using high-end camera, you usually think, okay, this camera will work for me, will do every single thing for me.
Yeah.
But it won't. In reality, it will produce even like worse results, just because you need to adjust your camera to your needs, and you need to make it like way more tweaks before you can shoot something like great with this camera.
Yeah.
So, and usually that's a problem. So for me, for example, there's no reason. I never asked like clients if what cameras they use. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, the only thing the only thing I'm interested in is the look of the footage itself, because sometimes clients really like to share, like, we shot this on red. Okay, what else? Like, why does it matter? I mean, show me. Then they show, and it looks terrible, completely terrible.
Yeah.
And
that really happens a lot.
Actually, that's. It's completely commercially, it's disaster. You won't be able, most likely, won't be able to explain this to client. He'll be like, with this pink glasses on, like thinking that everything should be fixed now in post, and the picture will look exactly like in like Hollywood movies now, just because they use the same cameras. And then you most likely need to just, get away of this client completely, sadly.
Okay.
So treat them as like.
He's tweaking his question. Actually, he was referring to the 8-bit problem. If it's a problem in the
it's a problem, okay. Okay, there are two points here with 8-bit. First one, if it was shot properly, you should have no like major issues with it. I mean, definitely you won't be able to crank colors or crank contrast too intense. It will ruin your image, but you can always find some workarounds, and the simplest one is to just simply add some grain to it. Like the grain, because of its nature, will like hide some imperfections. And second approach is much more technical, but you can remake your image. For example, using the After Effects or something like this in 32 bits mode, you can denoise it completely in the 32 bits mode to reproduce, like to recreate colors from the very scratch. It's there are some techniques to, like, you know, recreate every single pixel, and then you can export to 16-bit, and this will produce you much more workable footage to go with. But this is like too much hassle for this footage, I usually say. So, like for example, I haven't got like many 8-bit projects here right now on this laptop, but I mean, you won't let me like tell something that it's not true. You won't let me lie, right? I mean,
I won't.
Okay, so you know that I'm usually like doing same complex grades, even with the like GoPro cameras or like DJI cameras, and with iPhone cameras as well. I mean, it doesn't matter for me. Actually using 8-bit material is a great way to learn, because it won't allow you to make your adjustments so easy. So sometimes it will be problematic, but again, it's like we are now referring to the very beginning. It's a good way to just do something. And if you'll be satisfied in general with the look, then you need to just delete everything and recreate it again. And most likely you'll be able to make it much, much, much clearer, even with 8-bit material.
Yeah, I guess that the only problem you won't be able to fix, at least I just don't have the instant solution to this. If you're shooting in a log, if you're shooting log footage on the 8-bit camera, for example, as the A7S, and you're shooting gradients, like, I don't know, the sky, for example, it will be posterized. But
yeah, it will be posterized.
So maybe that's...
Again, grain will resolve this issue sometimes.
Probably. I don't have like an instant solution, but it's... if you have a specific issue with it, like, because the question itself right now is very theoretical, like maybe you will have problems like this, or maybe you will have problems like this, or should I think about, yes, everything, like the answer will take forever to to speak it through. But if you have a very specific problem with the 8-bit footage of your A7S, because the one is standing right now here. So we are really familiar with this kind of footage. Send it to us, and we will help you throughout the mentorship program to help you with solve the problem, or give you advice how to shoot in a different way on the same camera, or just get the better result with the color correction, maybe a little bit of visual effects. And one more thing about the mentorship. I forgot to tell about it. As we told, there is a possibility to just show the result, or give the material and ask what to do with it, or maybe ask about what to do if you are going to shoot something. Also, there is an option just to cover a small class for these kind of questions, especially if you have like the source materials.
Just your own time, you can do pretty much everything with it.
So we are worried about you getting the results. So
and like
that's true. So we should go through the second project if you would like to. I mean, like, let us know if you want to go through the second project, or maybe you're just maybe it's just enough of color for you today.
No more questions,
right? The Dalton is asking what's the name of the second node. Actually, we talked about it. The second node, the color transition, yes?
Color space transform is like this. Color space transform is OpenFX plugin here.
The OpenFX plugins are from the paid version of DaVinci. It's called DaVinci Studio. So maybe
that's. I mean, just for this, for having this plug. Just for having this OpenFX, I'd recommend to use paid version if you're still using free one, just because it's not so expensive and it's definitely worth it. So okay, let me quickly show. So do they want me to show? Oh wow! Oh wow! No idea. Okay.
Not really sure. Just guys.
Okay. So let me quickly show this second example, and this is basically the topic about the developing your workflow. This one is a little bit more modern work. I mean, for me, it's just recent one, and this part wasn't exist before. I'm now using parallel mixer, second parallel mixer, to combine all my different masks and relatings. But there is no mathematical point to do this.
Okay, just.
But you know, it's completely normal to add many different masks to your like image. But when you like adding two more of them, you usually start to do these things like zigzagging your node graph, and then you like rearranging the stuff on your screen, and it will become complete mess.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why I prefer to use this parallel structure, just to be sure that I can see every single node in the most understandable manner. So that's the whole point. That this is what I am, what does actually developing your workflow mean? I mean, that's it exactly. So again, let me disable all the nodes. So again, first one, the color space transform, and this time we are working with a new color theory from Red. It's IPP2, color science. It's great, and I mean, it can help you to produce more vivid, more interesting colors, more different shades, more variative colors. But the most importantly for me is to still be able to grade it same way I graded before. I mean, just to speed the things up. So I still using the color space transform to transform it to log C from Alexa. It doesn't produce any significant difference. Now it's just making the whole image a little bit brighter. And then again, the main contrast. So overall, we already have some pretty decent looking image, and I usually start with some basic color gradings. So here, since it's like typical stock footage, it shouldn't be specifically graded to any mood. It should be pretty neutral, but definitely this background should be like lowered in terms of contrast a little bit, maybe darken a bit, and also this skin tones should be a little bit brighter. So that's what I tried to do with this first node, and the second one is the base contrast is just increasing the same idea. I mean, I'm just doing it one more step
one iteration for the contrast.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this one is for color, this one is for contrast. So I just lowered the darkness of the background, just increased the contrast overall, just because this is this should look like perfect advertising. Yes, something like this. And then again, I have this node structure here, but in reality, I started with I usually starting with creating this basic structure, and then I starting to go here, go there, go adjust this node, that node, all the stuff together, because for example, now the image looks pretty good, but there is one thing that annoys me too much. This huge blue thing on the left of the screen. So it's simple as that. Just I added new node which is called blue left, and then just lower the brightness. And then I decided that it's still not enough. This first left part is still too bright, so I added another node which is called far left. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And yeah, okay. So now this area not bringing too much attention to it. I mean, why should we look to this huge something instead of looking at the talent? And again, then the technique from the teal orange part, I usually separate the skin tones just to make some adjustment about them. That's why we have these two nodes, so skin contrast and skin colors actually. it's something. It's here because I don't really like the tones of this of her skin, because it's like too cheap for me.
Yeah.
It's like too.
Looks very documentary.
Yeah. Like like it's a homemade video, not. I mean, it's great for homemade video, but still. So I just made it like way darker, way less saturated, and with the help of second node, I added some retouching, like so, and it's super simple. I made it with this soften sharpen OpenFX, and I mean, it's just making the whole look a little bit clearer.
We had a question about the sharpening. We had a question about the sharpening. The soften sharpen filter is what you usually use to sharpen.
Yes, since they implemented into the DaVinci Resolve, I use it quite often just because I really love the. Basically, I have a like Photoshop retoucher background, and I really used to have this frequency separation things.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they just added. I mean, let's have it's
the basic version.
Yeah, the basic version. I only have like 3 different sliders, but still, it's way better than everything else here by default. So yes, this is the OpenFX that provide me with a functionality to be able to like add contrast and sharpness to different portions of the image, like different it's called frequencies. Yeah, so like in larger details, so medium details, or smaller details. So say with this top slider, I can adjust the overall sharpness of the image, and with this large texture, for example, I can adjust the like largest pieces. So, and create some overall contrasty look, maybe, and then increase like internal contrast. That's how it actually called. So, and this is, as you can see, also useful for the skin tones. Like it's simple. I mean, I reducing the large textures and medium textures, but and increasing the small textures. So I have the same like natural feeling, but I have less like differentiations in the skin tones. I have less, like all these blemishes, all this stuff could disappear, or at least be hidden a little bit. So that's their whole purpose. Well, and then again, I made same thing with the wizard, just to, I don't know why they haven't cleaned it before the shooting. I made it for them. And then increase the contrast just to make sure it matches the overall contrast of the talent. And then even more like different masks. This one again is some brightness, additional brightness to the talent area, and decreasing the brightness
like you
around.
showed before.
Yeah. This one is a little bit funny. It's this one. I decided that we have this, like, it looks, for me it looks like this part is really glowing. I decided that it's a good idea to emphasize it a little bit more, just because it's like the whole lab is scientific. It could be funny. It could be fun to have this glowing part, so I just increased this brightness. And since I still upset with this top left corner, I just added another vignette to hide it even more. So the overall, and again, this shadow desaturation, just because I need to be sure that it's similar on every single monitor, and this generator. So overall, what we have here is pretty decent result, and it's quite simple. I mean, I made it maybe in 15 minutes. I mean, it's fast. It should be fast.
Because the workflow. Yeah,
because of the workflow, because I already know, because I prepared myself to be able to do like touch here, like adjust this one, and I don't think every single time like, what I need to add now, what else, what should I, which node should I add, what else should I do? I mean, I'm completely...
you just go through the structure.
Yeah, I'm completely in the creative
created.
process, yes. And yes, I said I'm all about the commercial workflow, but of course I'm trying to like create this as beauty as possible.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, do you have any question, guys? And I'm repeating the link to the mentorship. No, not me, but one of our girls who help us to get this online class will paste the link to the mentorship. So I will remind you that the mentorship is a one-year process that you can dive in. You can get the help from the mentor with your ongoing projects, with the project that you are going to shoot, with the project you've already shot, and to get some personal lectures if you are stuck or interested in something. In terms of color grading, of course. So
there's definitely no point to just pay some money and speak with me about something else.
That's true. And if you join us until the October 13, you will get one more class for free. So
let's do it. No?
Let's do it. So if you have questions, ask them and join us on the Facebook, join us on the Instagram.
Yeah, and probably share some ideas of if you want us to cover some specific topic on maybe next class, like this open class.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely going to like stream more.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so
please let us know what you are interested in, what's your problems in the color grading. We will help you figure out and help you on that.
Yeah, and remember, the color grading is simple.
The color grading is not that hard, really. At least when you have like backup. So it was nice to meet you. Thank you, everyone, for joining our class, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you.